you begin to discover that a lot of these sites that I take you to in Egypt are super ancient. I'm talking about far older than you can even imagine. We're talking about tens of thousands, in some cases, tens of thousands of years old. And you begin to discover that by the time the first dynasty begins, they inherited what was already there. They built nothing. These people in the first dynasty and second dynasty built nothing. And whatever they did build fell apart, mud brick stuff. It's a joke. They inherited these megaliths. They were there already when they arrived. Just like the Mayans built nothing. And the Mexican archaeologists will tell you this, that the Mayans built nothing, because they know. The Mayans inherited what was already there. They have records that the Mayans arrived in Teotihuacan, in Chichen Itza, and Coba, and all these other places. And the stuff was there already. They just moved in. And then they started doing what? Sacrifices. They would throw virgins into wells because they thought it would make it rain, and they would play on the ball court and rip your heart out if you won. Same thing going on over here in Egypt. Foolishness. Dogma and foolishness. Why? Because these weren't the people that built the structures. These weren't the people with the high knowledge at that time period. In some weird way, the knowledge was lost for a while. You had Namur and Horhaha, Jur and Jet and Mereneth and Den and Anajib and Semikaket, Ka, Sinferka. These are some of the kings that they're presuming ruled. And let's look at their kingship time that they may have ruled during this era. 54 years, 10 years. This one they don't know. 42 years, 10 years, 8.5 years, 34 years. You see the difference? We don't really pick up an accurate account until we get to the kings list that I showed you I was standing in front of at Abydos. And we pick up around the third dynasty. So we're going into the third dynasty. So you can see the old kingdom picks up around 2649 to 2150 BC. Okay, that's BC. If you don't know, that means before Christ. Now they're starting to use BCE, which means before current era. So if you want to go before Christ, add another 2000 onto this number to get a real time period. Okay, so you're talking about 4,649 years ago, roughly. All right. And you can see we got the names of some of these kings from the Old Kingdom in the third dynasty. Zenaket, Zojer, Simahet, Kaba, Huni, Snefru, Khufu, Jezvere, Khafre, Nebka II, going into the fourth dynasty now, Menacure, and even these, these people here in the fourth dynasty, in my opinion, they inherited some of the pyramids that were already here and put their name on them. So they put their name on some of the pyramids. That's my personal opinion. After looking and being inside of them, like in the third dynasty, the Djoser, okay? That's the bent pyramid. That pyramid is a gigantic diagnostics tool, and it's so sophisticated. I've climbed on the inside of that pyramid from the bottom all the way to the top on the inside and took people with me. So you can see fourth dynasty, fifth dynasty, sixth dynasty. Then you get to the first intermediate period, okay? You got dynasty 8 through 10. Then the first half of dynasty 11. Then you get to the middle kingdom. And then it goes second half of dynasty 11. You can see all these kings here ruling. Dynasty 12, 13, 14 through 16, 17. Then you get to the new kingdom era. And now you're getting into the time of Amenhotep III, who ruled around 1390 BC to 1352 BC. That's King Tut's grandfather. So he's all the way, King Tut is all the way up into the 18th dynasty. Well, his bloodline kind of becomes recognizable, I should say, around then, because some famous things happen with Amenhotep III and Queen Taye, and then leading into eventually, obviously, what happened with him and his demise. But all these kings here, what you can see on the right-hand side, their ruling periods, they're not that long. Very short periods in kingship, extremely short. Now we're down into the 26th dynasty, 27th. You see what it says right here? Persian. The 27th dynasty is Persian. The 26th dynasty is Scythe. The 25th dynasty is Nubian. So in the 25th dynasty, the black kings returned. Okay? They returned in the 25th dynasty. Look at this, the Macedonian period. Alexander the Great, you know about that. And then you even have the Ptolemaic period. When I tell you that there's time periods where civilization in Egypt itself has risen and fallen between cultures and races. It's a fact. It's an absolute fact, all right? An absolute fact. So, yes, there were black kings and queens, but there were also Persian kings and queens. There were Greek kings and queens. There were Nubian kings and queens. There were, I mean, you can just, the mix goes on and on and on. Various kings and queens over different periods of time, meaning different races of people over periods of time. You can see them inside of these museums. The bodies are there. But the point I'm trying to make is they understood initially, before the Great Flood, the Sumerian kings, they understood the secret of longevity of life. They understood the secret of immortality through a couple of means. Like I said before, the elixir of life, which included monatomic gold and colloidal silver, along with a few other herbs that they would add in there. They also understood how to transfer their consciousness from body to body through these many halls of Amenti that existed around the entire planet. If you come to Egypt with me, I will take you to one of the halls of Amenti. I will take you to one. I will let you touch an actual rejuvenation chamber. You will see them. You will feel them. You will see solid diorite warped by an energy beam. You can't warp diorite without breaking it. It doesn't warp. But you'll see solid diorite warped. You'll see a gigantic rejuvenation chamber that's been warped by some type of exotic energy field. And you can touch it. You'll see things that you never thought would exist on this planet. That's what I do when I take people to Egypt. It's a trip of a lifetime.